In the dazzling, ruthless world of Hollywood, where fame is a double-edged sword and reputations hang by a thread, 2024 became the year that Hugh Jackman, Australia's golden son, the charismatic Wolverine, the Broadway darling, found himself ensnared in a scandal that threatened to unravel his carefully crafted legacy. For nearly 3 decades, Jackman had been the epitome of the perfect leading man, a triple-threat performer with a megawatt smile, a devoted husband to Deborra-Lee Furness, and a father whose wholesome image made him the industry's poster boy for integrity. His 27-year marriage to Furness was a rare beacon of stability in a town where relationships often crumbled under the weight of fame. But when whispers of infidelity surfaced, linking him to his Broadway co-star Sutton Foster, the world gasped. What followed was a tempest of accusations, denials, and media frenzy that left fans and skeptics alike questioning the man they thought they knew. Was Hugh Jackman the victim of vicious rumors, or had Hollywood's nicest guy been hiding a darker side all along? The saga began in the hallowed halls of Broadway, where Jackman and Foster first crossed paths in March 2020. They were cast as Harold Hill and Marion Peru in a highly anticipated revival of The Music Man, Meredith Willson's 1957 musical about a charming conman and a cautious librarian finding love in small-town Iowa. The production, delayed by the COVID-19 pandemic, finally opened in February 2022 at Manhattan's Winter Garden Theater. From the first curtain call, their chemistry was electric. Jackman, with his commanding stage presence and rich baritone, and Foster, a Tony Award-winning powerhouse with a crystalline soprano, breathed new life into the classic. Critics raved, with the New York Times calling their pairing a match made in musical heaven. Offstage, their bond seemed just as strong. In a June 2022 Vogue interview, Foster described Jackman as one of my best friends, recounting how they spent Memorial Day with their families, barbecuing and laughing like old pals. Jackman, ever the gentleman, returned the praise, leading the Music Man cast in a birthday serenade for Foster's 47th in March 2022, a moment captured on Instagram and shared with his 31 million followers, but what appeared to be a warm, professional friendship soon became grist for the gossip mill. By late 2021, as rehearsals intensified, whispers began circulating among Broadway insiders. Crew members noticed Jackman and Foster lingering after rehearsals, their laughter echoing through the empty theater. A stagehand, quoted anonymously in a 2023 Page 6 article, claimed, "You'd have to be blind not to see the sparks. They were always in each other's orbit." At the time, the murmurs stayed within the theater world, drowned out by the buzz of the show's success. The Music Man was a box office juggernaut, grossing over $3 million a week at its peak, and Jackman and Foster were its beating heart. Yet, as the production neared its final performance in January 2023, the rumors gained traction. A blind item on the gossip site Crazy Days and Nights hinted at a married A-list actor and his Broadway leading lady getting too cozy, sparking speculation that Jackman and Foster were the unnamed duo. The whispers might have faded into obscurity if not for a seismic event in September 2023. Jackman and Furness announced their separation after 27 years of marriage. The joint statement, posted on Jackman's Instagram, was brief and dignified. "We have been blessed to share almost 3 decades together as husband and wife in a wonderful, loving marriage. Our journey now is shifting, and we have decided to separate to pursue our individual growth. Our family has been and always will be our highest priority." The news stunned fans. Jackman and Furness, who met in 1995 on the set of the Australian TV show Corelli, had been a Hollywood anomaly, a couple whose love seemed to defy the industry's chaos. They had adopted 2 children, Oscar and Ava, and built a life that blended Sydney's laid-back charm with New York's cosmopolitan buzz. Paparazzi photos of them strolling hand in hand, laughing at charity galas, or cheering at their kids' school events had cemented their status as #relationship goals. The announcement, though amicable, opened the floodgates. Within hours, social media was ablaze with speculation. Why now? What had changed? The Daily Mail published a timeline of Jackman's recent public appearances, noting his unusually somber demeanor at a Deadpool and Wolverine press event in July 2023. Ex-users dug up old interviews, pointing to Furness's comments about trust and communication as possible clues. But the loudest theory centered on Foster. By early 2024, the rumors had metastasized into full-blown accusations of an affair. A January 2024 In Touch Weekly cover story screamed, "Hugh's secret romance exposed," alleging that Jackman and Foster had been involved for at least 2 years. The article cited unnamed sources claiming the pair had been spotted whispering intimately at a Manhattan cafe and that Foster's own marriage to screenwriter Ted Griffin was on the rocks. The tabloid's coup de grace was a grainy photo of two figures, purportedly Jackman and Foster, walking arm in arm near Central Park. The image was blurry, but the internet ran with it. Hashtag Hugh Jackman affair trended worldwide, amassing over 2 million posts on X. Jackman, known for his media savvy, didn't let the accusations fester. In February 2024, he addressed the rumors head-on during an interview on The Drew Barrymore Show. Flanked by his Deadpool and Wolverine co-star Ryan Reynolds, Jackman was candid but composed. "Look, I get that people love a story, but this one's just not true," he said, his Australian accent softening the edge of his words. "Deb and I parted as friends, and we're focused on our kids. As for Sutton, she's a dear friend and a brilliant talent. That's it." He flashed his trademark grin, but his eyes betrayed a flicker of strain. Reynolds, ever the jester, chimed in, "If Hugh's cheating with anyone, it's me. I mean, have you seen our bromance?" The audience laughed, and the moment diffused the tension. But the denial did little to quell the speculation. Skeptics on X pointed out that Jackman hadn't explicitly denied a past relationship with Foster, and the lack of a lawsuit against In Touch raised eyebrows. "If it's all lies, why not sue?" one user posted, garnering 45,000 likes. Foster, for her part, remained silent. The actress, who had always kept her personal life private, declined to comment when approached by TMZ outside a yoga studio in March 2024. Her reticence fueled the narrative that she had something to hide. By April, the scandal had snowballed into a cultural phenomenon. Late-night hosts like Jimmy Kimmel and Stephen Colbert wove the saga into their monologues, with Kimmel joking, "Hugh Jackman's gone from the greatest showman to the greatest soap opera." Memes flooded the internet, from photoshopped images of Jackman and Foster as the Music Man's star-crossed lovers to a viral TikTok of a fan reenacting Marion Perreault singing "My White Knight" with Jackman's face superimposed. The frenzy wasn't limited to the US-Australian tabloids. Like New Idea, ran stories claiming Furness was devastated and had retreated to their Sydney beach house. The British press, never shy about sensationalism, speculated that Jackman's knighthood aspirations were now in jeopardy. Behind the headlines, the scandal was taking a toll. Sources close to Jackman, quoted in a May 2024 People article, described him as exhausted and hurt by the relentless scrutiny. He reportedly leaned on his children, now teenagers, and a tight circle of friends, including Reynolds and his X-Men co-star Patrick Stewart. Furness, meanwhile, was spotted in New York, looking resolute as she attended a charity event for the Hopeland Foundation, an adoption advocacy group she co-founded. Her silence spoke volumes, but a friend told Vanity Fair, "Deb's not the type to air dirty laundry. She's focused on moving forward." Foster faced her own challenges. Her marriage to Griffin, with whom she shared an adopted daughter, reportedly ended in early 2024, though no public statement confirmed the split. Broadway gossip blogs speculated that the Music Man affair rumors had strained her professional relationships, with one producer allegedly hesitating to cast her in a new project. The media circus reached its peak in July 2024, when the National Enquirer published a bombshell report claiming to have proof of the affair, alleged text messages between Jackman and Foster, leaked by an anonymous source. The messages, dated from mid-2022, were suggestive but ambiguous, with phrases like, "Can't stop thinking about last night," and "You make this crazy life bearable." The Enquirer's credibility was shaky, and cybersecurity experts questioned the text's authenticity, noting they could have been fabricated or hacked. Still, the story reignited the firestorm. Jackman's team issued a swift statement, calling the report baseless and a violation of privacy. For the first time, there was talk of legal action, with Jackman's lawyer hinting at a defamation suit. Foster's camp, too, condemned the leak, with her publicist labeling it a disgusting attempt to smear a good woman. As summer turned to fall, the scandal began to lose steam. Jackman threw himself into work, promoting Deadpool and Wolverine, which grossed over $1.3 billion globally, cementing his status as a box office titan. He also announced a return to Broadway in 2025, this time in a solo show, from New York, with Love, a move seen as both a career pivot and a statement of resilience. Foster, meanwhile, landed a role in a new HBO series, signaling that her star power remained intact. Furness emerged as a quiet force, launching a podcast about adoption and resilience that debuted to strong reviews in September 2024. The trio's ability to rise above the gossip suggested that, while bruised, their legacies would endure, yet the scandal left lingering questions. Was there truth to the affair rumors, or were Jackman and Foster simply collateral damage in the tabloid machine? The lack of concrete evidence, beyond blurry photos and dubious texts, tilted the scales toward skepticism. Media analysts pointed out that the story fit a familiar pattern: a high-profile man, a freshly dissolved marriage, and a convenient narrative of betrayal. Jackman's separation from Furness, though shocking, wasn't unprecedented. Even strong marriages buckle under Hollywood's pressures. The focus on Foster, a talented woman whose only crime was sharing a stage with Jackman, smacked of misogyny, with critics noting that male co-stars rarely face similar scrutiny. For fans, the saga was a reminder of the human cost of fame. Jackman, once untouchable, had been laid bare, his private struggles dissected for public consumption. His supporters rallied on X, with hashtags like #TeamHugh and #LeaveHughAlone trending in August 2024. Others took a more cynical view, arguing that the scandal, true or not, had kept Jackman in the headlines during a crucial career moment. As one entertainment journalist quipped, "There's no such thing as bad publicity in Hollywood." By October 2024, the dust had settled, but the story wasn't over. Jackman, Foster, and Furness had moved on, but the internet's memory is long. Posts on X continued to debate the affair, with some users insisting they'd seen the chemistry at The Music Man. Others defended Jackman's honor, pointing to his decades of goodwill. The truth, as always, remained elusive, buried somewhere between the headlines and the heart. What was clear was that Hugh Jackman, the man who had clawed his way from Sydney's suburbs to Hollywood's heights, was more than his scandals. He was a performer, a father, a friend, and, above all, a survivor. In a town that thrives on tearing its heroes down, Jackman was still standing, his story unfinished, his spotlight undimmed. As the year drew to a close, the scandal took on a new dimension, shifting from tabloid fodder to a broader reflection on fame, truth, and redemption. In November 2024, Jackman made a rare personal move, posting a cryptic message on Instagram, a black and white photo of a sunrise over Bondi Beach, captioned simply, "New day, new story." Fans interpreted it as a subtle rebuke of the gossip, a declaration that he was ready to move forward. The post garnered 4 million likes, with comments ranging from heartfelt support to playful jabs about his Wolverine resilience. Meanwhile, Furness's podcast, Family First, became a quiet hit, with episodes featuring candid conversations about navigating public scrutiny. One guest, a former child star, spoke of the vultures in the media, prompting Furness to add, "You learn who's real when the storm hits." Listeners saw it as a veiled reference to her ex-husband's ordeal, though she never mentioned him by name. Foster, too, began to reclaim her narrative. In December 2024, she gave her first major interview since the scandal, speaking to The Hollywood Reporter about her upcoming HBO role. When asked about the Music Man rumors, she was measured but firm. "I've always believed my work speaks louder than gossip. Hugh and I shared a stage, not a scandal." Her response was widely praised, with Vulture calling it a masterclass in dignity. Behind the scenes, Foster was reportedly in talks to star in a new Broadway musical, a sign that the industry hadn't turned its back on her. Her resilience mirrored Jackman's, a testament to their shared ability to weather the storm. The public, however, remained divided. On X, a December 2024 thread analyzing Jackman's Drew Barrymore show interview went viral, with users dissecting his body language for signs of guilt or innocence. Some pointed to his fidgeting hands as evidence of discomfort, others argued his steady voice proved his sincerity. The debate spilled into mainstream media, with CNN running a segment titled "The Hugh Jackman Scandal: Why We Can't Look Away." The piece argued that the story's staying power lay in its universal themes: love, betrayal, and the quest for truth in an age of misinformation. It also highlighted the role of social media in amplifying unverified claims, noting that the blurry Central Park photo had been shared 10 million times despite its dubious origins. For Jackman, the path forward meant doubling down on what he did best: performing. His solo show, From New York, with Love, was shaping up to be a love letter to his career, blending songs from The Music Man, Les Miserables, and The Greatest Showman with personal anecdotes. Rehearsal footage leaked in January 2025 showed him belting "You Will Be Found" with raw emotion, prompting Broadway world to predict a comeback for the ages. The show's announcement also sparked renewed interest in his personal life, with tabloids speculating about his dating status. A Star magazine report claimed he'd been spotted with an unidentified woman at a Sydney cafe, but the story fizzled when the woman was revealed to be his cousin. The incident underscored the media's hunger for drama, even as Jackman worked to rebuild his image. Furness, meanwhile, continued to carve her own path. Her podcast success led to a book deal, with Simon & Schuster announcing a 2026 memoir titled Roots and Wings. The press release described it as a story of love, loss, and finding strength in change, fueling speculation that she might finally address the separation. Friends told Us Weekly that Furness was at peace and had no interest in revisiting the scandal. "She's not bitter," one source said. "She's grateful for the life she and Hugh built, but she's excited for what's next." Her grace under pressure earned her a new legion of fans, with ex-users dubbing her the real MVP of the saga. As for Foster, her HBO series, a gritty drama about a 1920s jazz singer, premiered in February 2025 to strong reviews. Critics praised her luminous performance, and the show's success shifted the narrative away from her personal life. She also became an outspoken advocate for women in theater, launching a mentorship program for young actresses. In a March 2025 speech at a Broadway charity event, she alluded to the scandal without naming it. "The stage taught me to keep going, no matter what's thrown at you. Stories come and go, but art endures." The audience gave her a standing ovation, a moment that felt like a turning point. By early 2025, the scandal had faded from the headlines, but its echoes lingered. Jackman, Furness, and Foster had each found ways to move forward, proving their resilience in the face of relentless scrutiny. The affair rumors, once a roaring fire, had burned down to embers, with no definitive proof ever emerging. Yet the story had changed them, and the public's perception of them. Jackman was no longer just the charming everyman, he was a complex figure, human and fallible. Furness had stepped out of her husband's shadow, emerging as a force in her own right. Foster, once a Broadway darling, had proven she could withstand the glare of scandal without breaking. The saga also sparked broader conversations about privacy, gender, and the media. Feminist scholars pointed out the disproportionate blame heaped on Foster, noting that women in Hollywood are often cast as villains in affair narratives. A 2025 Atlantic article, "The Hugh Jackman Scandal and the Myth of the Homewrecker," argued that the story reflected society's tendency to pit women against each other while excusing men. Others questioned the ethics of tabloid journalism, with The Guardian calling for stricter regulations on unverified leaks like the Inquirer's alleged texts. On X, users debated the role of fans in perpetuating gossip, with one viral post reading, "We love our idols until they're human. Then we crucify them." For Jackman, the scandal was a crucible, testing his strength and revealing his core. In a rare February 2025 interview with GQ, he reflected on the past year. "I've learned that you can't control the narrative, but you can control how you respond. I choose to keep creating, keep loving, keep showing up." His words resonated with fans, who saw in him a man who had faced the fire and emerged stronger. As he prepared for his Broadway return, the world watched, not just for the performance, but for the next chapter of a story that had captivated millions. In the end, the Hugh Jackman scandal of 2024 was more than a tale of rumored infidelity. It was a mirror held up to Hollywood, reflecting its beauty, its brutality, and its unrelenting hunger for drama. It was a reminder that even the brightest stars cast shadows, and that truth is often the first casualty in the court of public opinion. For Jackman, Furness, and Foster, it was a chapter they survived, a storm they weathered, and a story that, like all great dramas, would be told and retold for years to come.